I'm cutting down my Canadian forest and shipping the trees to Germany and Japan. It's pretty rad knowing that people on the other side of the world are going to be able to build their houses because of these trees. I really hope it all works out. Me and my crazy ideas. Hey, I'm Jane. I'm a single mom and I'm not letting that hold me back. I just bought 5 acres of raw land in the Kootenay Rockies where I'm building my dream timber frame home and homestead with a permaculture food forest and even a vacation rental. All of this is so one day, hopefully, my daughter won't need to struggle the way that I did. Come along with me as I create my very own freedom recipe. We're on the move. It's finally time to ship some of these logs out. Here's where I get to see how much money these trees will actually bring in. This is the moment that makes or breaks my plan. This is the biggest risk I have ever taken in my whole life. I'm counting on these timber sales to pay for all of this land development. The truth is, I have no idea if I'm going to end up in the red or the black after this. I don't know many people who would take on a risk like this.
I will be long gone by now. It's some kind of divorce.
These guys have been so hard at work and I am so grateful for them. There's no way I could have done this without them. When I first bought this property, I thought I was gonna cut down every tree myself with a chainsaw. They're so massive. Like, this is the size of my entire torso. I could not have done it without them, and I'm really loving how this whole community comes together. They've been processing the trees into shippable logs, ready to be sold to one of the local mills. This means that they take the limbs off the trees and then cut the trees to whatever size the mill has said that they need to be. These guys are even organizing them into types of trees. Because cedar is the most valuable, they'll be going on their own VIP logging truck out of here. The mill that's buying the logs from us goes on to create framing packages to ship to the other side of the world. These logs you see here will be in somebody else's house in Japan or Germany in a few months. How freaking crazy is that? I've never participated in a global industry before, and I'm learning so much. The mill actually said they're down to give us a tour of their facility and check out how all of this works, so stay tuned for that episode in the future. The loggers have told me that the timber that we've taken down so far will cover their costs to date. Now every tree after this should turn a profit, hopefully. I'm honestly so grateful for the rain today because it's been so hot here that I have been melting. It's so hot. That was my biggest fear about removing so many trees, because what if we roast ourselves without shade? The Kootenays is known for hot summers, and this one is already delivering. If you know of some fast-growing shade trees that grow in a Zone 6B, please leave it in the comments. I'm not sure if you can tell, but they've actually cut down a lot more trees at the back here. That has opened up the space so much more, and I was getting worried that there wasn't going to be enough room for my orchard. But not only is there room for an orchard, but there's also room for the greenhouse I have planned. When all of the trees were so closely packed together, that made everything look smaller. But now that it's opened up, my creative brain is like, yes, we can have a geodesic dome. Yes, we can have a whole bunch of fruit trees. Anything is possible when you have a team of professionals and big machinery to do all the work. I am hoping to jump on an excavator next week because I love operating them and I'm sick of sitting here doing nothing. I am doing most of this for my daughter because, as they say, the first generation builds it, the second generation enjoys it. They do say that the third generation spends it. So I'm hoping I can create this into a space so beautiful that nobody would ever want to get rid of it.
It pulls you in, it takes over. You just can't let go of the worst, best thing that's ever happened to you.
It definitely feels like a different piece of land from when I bought it, but I am committed to making it green and lush again. I want to leave it better than I found it. Every wish I have for this land seems to be granted. I just found out that the excavation team has actually built multiple dug wells. At the moment, I have a drilled well booked, but the water table is really high here, so they're gonna poke around with the machines and see if they can find water. I actually really think they will find water, because when I had the water witcher here, he was saying that there's water about 5 meters down in the lowest part of the big gully. If we can find a dug well, that will minimize my costs so much, because instead of a $15,000 or $20,000 well, we could probably do a dug one for about $3,000 to $5,000. I'll let you know if that's possible next week, but please help me manifest a dug well. Oh my God, that would be so amazing. No matter what type of well I have, I'm hoping to have enough water pressure to be able to have irrigation all over this place. I'd love to go overboard on water hydrants and have one every 50 feet if I could. In order to make room for the cabin studio at the bottom of what was once the Big Mama Gully, a lot more trees needed to come down. Again, it's a shock to the system, but then I start picturing a willow tree, some oak trees, maple trees, and see this gully coming back to life. Now that all these trees have gone down here, they're able to dig around and look for gravel to use on the surface of the driveway, and maybe even hit water for that well. We don't really have high hopes about finding gravel because there actually haven't been any rocks here, which is shocking for living on a mountain. But guess what? They did. And while they were in the gully hunting for gravel, they also found water. If we can't find water anywhere else on this property, then we officially have a spot for the well. It is the land that keeps on giving. If we find a better spot for a well, then guess what? This happens to be where the pond is gonna go. So now there's a big hole and there's water. I feel so lucky, so lucky. No matter what we do with this water, I have options now. This is a serious relief moment. Oh, you know when you think of the hierarchy of needs, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I'm at water. So this is a huge, huge sigh of relief. The cabin studio will go somewhere right beside the pond, and what a magical view that will be for my tattoo clients. God, this is crazy exciting. But I can't wait to start replanting things here because it doesn't really feel like a forest anymore. I'm surrounded by forest on all sides of the property, but I don't feel like I live inside of a magical forest anymore. So I'm gonna have to get to work, starting with inoculating this giant cottonwood log with mushroom spores. One of the things I'm focusing on this channel is my health. I've had a hard couple of years, and I might get into that more in a future video if I feel comfortable. But to make a long story very short, I've been trying to fight going into a full-blown depression over the last couple of years. Getting this piece of land actually was the first time that I had a ray of hope for the future. So one thing I want to be vulnerable with on this channel is that I need to get back into shape. Even if I want to be able to do the things on the land that I need to do in order to build things, I need to regain my muscle. My whole life I've been really fit, and it feels really strange to be out of breath and not able to pick things up or have a sore back or sore joints. But I don't necessarily want to be in the gym, but luckily I live in the mountains. Living in the mountains is like having a gym in your backyard, and I don't know if you can hear it, but there's actually a raging creek beside me. So when I get too hot, I can just go and dunk my hair to cool down, and I could be out here all day. I've lived in a lot of places around the world, on different continents, different cities, but this is the only place that's felt like home.
Why don't you stay, 'cause I could really use a friend. Stay, please stay, 'cause my heart really needs a man. Somewhere, somehow, I guess I lost it all. Stay here with me.
I grew up close to Toronto, where everyone I saw just worked at their cubicle job, cracked a beer after work, and parked themselves in front of the TV for the rest of the night. Hey, to each their own, but BC showed me that there's another way to live. I started remembering the things I liked to do as a kid, like be in nature, go skating, be in the water, and I started being in awe of life again. I promised myself I wouldn't let the view ever get old, but after almost 20 years, I have. I've gotten too much into my head and I've let those thoughts spiral. I've stopped staring at the clouds pulling through the trees on rainy days or watching how the sun changes the color of the river at dusk. And I'm seeing these moments of wonder slowly coming back as I get closer to moving to the new land and finally having inner and outer peace. I also think I accidentally manifested a bonus for the land. I'd had the thought that I'd like to be able to go hiking out my back door, no driving to the trail. And I could hike thousands of acres and even go to glaciers right out of the door of my new home. The funny thing is, I didn't even realize this until I'd already bought the land. Part of my goal for this channel is to soak up this rare paradise as if it's my first season here again. And I want to dive back into all the activities that make me smile and feel hopeful. When I first moved to BC, I built so much strength without even trying because I was outside all the time. I want to play my way to my strongest self again. This homestead development is the biggest project I've ever taken on, but I'm known for my crazy ideas. I'm still intimidated by it, but I'm just doing it scared because with big risks come big rewards. By the way, one of the best parts about hiking in this part of Canada are the waterfalls. Having this whole place to myself is so special. Earning my sweat in the wilderness feels a lot better to me than being in the gym. Not saying I don't ever go to the gym, it has its place, but come on, how can anything compare to this? The lifestyle around here is very active as well. And the first season I was out west, my jaw hit the floor when a snowboarder came shredding down the mountain super skillfully, and when they took their helmet off, their hair was completely white. I thought, what is this place? People keep playing their entire lives here. Lots of smiling wrinkles on the dance floor, and that senior will absolutely outclimb you. Not all the decisions I've made in my life have been good ones, but all the good, the bad, and everything in between has brought me to this moment. So keep going when life seems bleak and meaningless, because next year or next week could look completely different. So to be honest, it doesn't look like we're gonna make enough money from the timber to pay for the hydro. The well, yes, maybe, but probably not the hydro. A $30,000 hydro bill is quite expensive. So because I just have my tiny home at the moment to worry about, I might try some type of solar setup and then have a generator or something for backup. I do have a wood stove in the tiny home, so we would be set up for the winter. As I said in the past, I'm doing this all on a wish and a prayer. It'll be fine, right? Yeah. As you can see, there are still piles of logs. And this is after they've already shipped out 3 truckloads. And there are even more trees to come down because we still have to clear the area for the tiny home and level it. I'm really hoping that the tiny home is gonna be shaded because we are gonna melt. Of course, I'm going to be planting more trees, but those trees will only provide shade in about 10 years. Oh, me and my crazy ideas. My thought is that honestly, I will probably suffer in the heat. My daughter will enjoy the shade, and then if I have grandkids, they will enjoy the deep shade. I'm probably going to have to put in a pool. Twist my rubber arm. Join me next week when we'll be finishing up all the excavation and logging that's left to do on the property. That's crazy. It feels like it's been so fast, but also so slow. I won't be able to move here quite yet because I still need to have water and hydro, but I keep reminding myself to just stay calm and eat that elephant one bite at a time. And no matter what you do in life, remember to pour love into it.